Is the Director and CEO of Lifesciences and Pharma, Telangana, Govt of Telangana. It is my pleasure to invite Sir to address the audience. Thank you, please.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers for hosting this event. I see a lot of events happening either around domain of pharmaceuticals or around the technology, that how we can use technology. But this is one of the few events where I see AI and IP coming together. Otherwise, people either talk of AI or they talk that what all could be done in the domain. So thanks to all the organizers for bringing in all legal professionals in the room. And I think AI is making things more and more complex when it comes to IP, because earlier most of the pharmaceutical related things, they used to happen in labs and there used to be scientists who will do all the experiments. But with the way things are evolving, now those days are gone where a scientist is sitting in a lab and is discovering a molecule, is spending days and nights and weeks and months and years and then is coming up with a breakthrough. Now with all the AI related inventions, these things are happening, if not in minutes and hours, then in just days and weeks. It's not taking years and years in order to come up with a solution. And especially with all these tech giants making a lot of investments, especially in the pharmaceutical sector, is making the job of people dealing with IP even more complicated. So for example, if you look into human body, most of the times a disease happens when there is a problem with some protein, right? Protein is made up of amino acids. So if there is some problem, a disease will happen. Then what Google AlphaFold did, they came up with a solution, right, where they are focusing more on the 3D structure of proteins. Earlier, we had tools which were able to see 2D structure of protein, but now with Google AlphaFold DeepMind, we are able to see 3D structures, right? So scientists used to spend a lot of time in the laboratories to understand the protein structure, look into the sequence of amino acids and see where there is a problem and what needs to be done. And especially this plays a key role when you are dealing with diseases like Alzheimer and all others, because that happens if protein is not folded properly. Now they created a whole library, not just of 1, 2 or 100 or 1000, but millions of proteins and amino acids. And now you can go to that library, you can access and you can see the structure. Now, if an invention happens using that library, it will become very difficult for scientists as well as for all the stakeholders who are involved to justify who would own that IP. Earlier it was very straightforward because things were happening in the experimental labs, but now with this entire ecosystem being built around AI and technology, things are becoming more and more complicated. Today, if you look into several discoveries which are happening, AI is becoming the central to that entire discovery. In those cases, the question comes that whether it is the human who discovered or whether it is the AI who discovered. Because at the end of the day, human is just using that AI. But a lot of work is actually being done by AI too. So if you look literally from the contribution perspective, there is a lot of contribution of the tool compared to the human who was using the tool. But the way all our IP rights work, it has to be a human. You can't have a tool owning a patent or owning a copyright or owning a trade secret. So I think the job of lawyers and the people who are engaged in defining that who owns the IP, who owns the copyright, how to make sure that trade secrets are actually foolproof, I think those jobs are going to become more and more complicated. And the interesting part is that even the professionals who are involved in IP, copyrights, trade secrets, they are also using all AI tools. So when it comes to documenting that, hey, what all needs to be done in order to make it foolproof, they ask the ChatGPT. Then the people who are challenging these things in the court, they are also using ChatGPT. Right? So, right. So another person on the stage is saying that even the judges who are making judgments, they are also using ChatGPT. Because with invention of all these technologies, right, and it's becoming very easy to generate lot of text, right? So earlier, if you go to a court, you'll see piles and bundles of all those paper files. It was very difficult for judges to read all the files. They had a lot of assistants who will go and bring a particular paper, no? And that will also be 10 or 15 pages. Now, if judges are actually using ChatGPT, for them it's easy, right? You upload as much as you want, all files will go, right? And ChatGPT will be able to tell you, hey, this is what needs to be done, right? Now, you train the ChatGPT. Now, again, the person who is contradicting or is fighting the court, fighting the case in the court, will again be asking the same ChatGPT. So ultimately, it is the ChatGPT which is at the center of all arguments, and not just arguments, even at the center of judgment. So I think these things are becoming very, very complex as we move forward. So I think for those who are lawyers in this fraternity, or those who are actually dealing with IP, copyrights and trade secrets, probably you guys will have to think that how we can continue to have that human element is still relevant. Otherwise, slowly these type of jobs, they will vanish, right? And you can see that there is a lot of offshoring of such activities happening to India, because even in Europe, US and other countries where lawyers are very expensive, they are outsourcing a lot of document related activities to India, and you guys are feeding it into ChatGPT and sending it back to them, right? So I think over a period of time, we'll have to think that how we can have that human element relevant, because at the end of the day, these are some of the fundamental things which will help in the evolution of current generation to the future generation. And I think as of now, IPs, copyrights and trade secrets, they have actually helped all these companies who made a lot of money and reinvested for betterment of society, whether it is Microsoft, whether it is Google, whether it is Amazon, whether it is Meta, whether it is Apple, all of them generated a lot of money because of a proper IP, because of proper copyright, because of a proper trade secret, and then they reinvested, and that led to evolution of humanity and our convenience over a period of time. So with this, I am really looking forward to see the conversations which happen throughout the day, and see that how this whole industry is going to evolve, and what is actually going to be that convergence of AI and IP, and how that is going to look like. Thank you so much.